हेलो फ्रेंड्स, केजी क्लासेस में आपका स्वागत है। आज हम आपको फ्रांसिस बेकन के क्वेश्चन आंसर के बारे में बताएंगे। लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन आंसर। क्वेश्चन है, डिस्कस बेकन एज ए मोरलिस्ट स्टेट्समैन एंड ए मैन ऑफ द वर्ल्ड विद रेफरेंस टू हिज एसे, और हाउ फार डू यू एग्री दैट बेकन्स एसेस आर concerned only with worldly wisdom or the art of success? Answer. In this essay, Bacon appears before his reader as a man of the world, a moralist and a statesman. He was a man of wisdom and discretion, a keen observer of men and things. So he presents before us specimens of that wisdom arising out of his life experience and his penetrating insight into the affairs of the world, specimens that came home to men's business and bosoms, dispersed meditation which grow out of his observation and interpretation of life. In his essays, he is really concerned with ideals that are actually realizable in life and in the world of action, with the philosophy of human conduct or gospel of getting on. His is a new morality for the man of action. He was undoubtedly one of our great masters of the art of life. He has shown in his essays his perennial interest in life and its problems, and most of his maxims and practical suggestions cannot but be of positive value of the man of action even in our day. He took all knowledge for his province. He gives his reason for writing these essays. The want of leisure hath made me choose to write certain brief notes, set down rather significantly than curiously, which I have called essay. No one has ever produced a greater number of highly concentrated, closely packed and striking utterances loaded with practical wisdom from the point of view of an utilitarian or a pragmatist who judge the value of line of action by its consequence. Thus, most of the essays seems to be the work of an opportunist, prudential consideration rather than high moral principle predominate in the large majority of cases. According to him, human action should not be hampered by moral consideration. Heading as a moralist. In his essay, Bacon takes up the role of a practical moralist. He presents a philosophy of his own. According to Hugh Walker, as a moralist, Bacon makes no pretense to system. To do so would have been to write something different from an essay as he conceived it. Walker further writes he has no such hope with regard to the principle of morals. It is clear that he was certain of the existence of principle of absolute validity. The essays seem to be work of an opportunist. Bacon admires truth, moral as well as intellectual. Clear and round dealing is the humor of man's nature. But then falsehood is like alloy in gold and silver, which, though it debases the metal, makes it work the better. The impression here given is immensely strengthened by the essay of simulation and dissimulation, heading his worldly wisdom. In his essay, Bacon has made striking observation on various aspects of man's personal and social life, but he gives the impression of singular aloofness from moral consideration. His essays are packed with worldly wisdom. His maxims are prudential. He appears to be looking down with absolute dispassionateness from a height and determining what course of conduct pays best. He condemns cunning not as a thing loathsome and vile, but as a thing unwise. Occasionally he even lays down the rules for immoral conduct without a word of overt disapproval. In the essay of Suitors, he recognizes indeed the existence of right and wrong. There is in some sort a right in every suit, either a right of equity if it be a suit of controversy, or a right of desert if it be suit of petition. But he goes on, if affection leads a man to favor the wrong sides in justice, let him rather use his countenance to compound the matter than to carry it. If affection leads a man to favor the less worthy in desert, let him do it without depriving or disavailing the better deserver. Was ever moralist so impartial between right and wrong? Let the wrongdoer be moderate, but he seems to be so advised. Several other examples of his practical worldly wisdom can be cited from his essays, such as the following. First, he that seeks victory over his nature, let him not set himself too great nor too small task, for the first will make him dejected by often failing, and the second will make him a small producer though by often prevailing. Second, since custom is the principal magistrate of man's life, let man by all means endeavor to obtain good custom. Third, natures that have much heat and great and violent desires and perturbations are not ripe of action till they have passed the meridian of their years. Fourth, beauty is as summer fruit, which are easy to corrupt and cannot last, and for the most part it makes a dissolute youth and an age a little out of countenance. Fifth, whosoever hath anything fixed in his person that induce contempt hath also a perpetual spur himself to rescue and deliver himself from scorn. Therefore all deformed persons are extreme bold. Heading his statesmanship. Bacon is perhaps seen at his best in his role as a statesman. Even though we may not totally agree with his political views, still there is no denying the fact that they are the views of a prudent political thinker and statesman. The essay of Platations contains sound political principles whose validity cannot be called into question. Bacon advocates that the natives should be treated fairly and justly. If you plant where savages are, he says, do not only entertain them with truffles and gingles, but use them justly and graciously with sufficient guard. Nevertheless, and do not win their favor by helping them to invade their enemies, but for their defense it is not amiss and send out of them over to the country that plants, that they may see a better condition than their own and commend it when they return. Human feelings are mingled with caution and political wisdom in this advice of the wise statesman. Modern humanitarianism is anticipated in this remark. I like a plantation in a pure soul that is where people are not disciplined to the end to plant in others, for else it is rather an extirpation than a plantation of the essence of wisdom and discretion in this observation. For the principal thing that hath been the destruction of most plantation hath been the base and hasty drawing of profit in the first years. It is true, speedy profit is not to be neglected as far as it may stand with the goods of the plantation, but no farther, and again it is shameful and unblessed thing to take the scum of people and begged condemned men to the people with whom you plant, and only so, but it spoileth the plantation. History since the days of Bacon has proved the soundness of these ideas. The natives grow impatient of inhuman treatment, and the result is rebellion, war, and destruction. As a statesman, Bacon establishes a double code of political morality, one for the prince, the other for his subjects. That which may prove to be a virtue in the former may turn out to be an evil in the latter. Bacon practically removes the distinction between the king and the state. The king is the state, and so the minister and public servant should be true more to the king than to the subject. Heading his Machiavellian attitude. Almost half of the essays of Bacon are written to give wise counsel to the king on various aspects of statecraft. His political views bear comparison to those of Machiavelli. Like Machiavelli, he thinks that the common code of morality does not apply to the king. In many essays, he advises the king to rule by craft and cunning. The king ought to be selfish and self-centered, but not the common people, who should recognize the claim of the state and society on the individual. It is the duty of the judge and the minister of state to placate the wishes of the king. The judges are no doubt lions, but they are loin under the throne. To the kings he suggests always and means of self-aggrandizement, expansion of colonies, increase of revenue, avoidance of factions, and suppression of sedition in the state. Thus, Bacon's king is virtually the prince of Machiavelli. Bacon's thoughts are characterized by an absence of idealism, as are Machiavelli's. His is the ethics of is and not of ought. He considers what men do and not what they ought to do. He does not forbid men to take recourse to immoral means for personal gain, but he does not permit him to harm the state. There is only one test to judge the validity of individual action, and it is whether it is harmful to the state or not. Of every course of action he considers both the advantages and disadvantages, but he is more concerned with public good than with private gain. That is why he condemns self-love and seeming wisdom, for both are disadvantageous to the state. The wise man, according to Bacon, should lead a life of action and not merely of contemplation. As Plato suggests, action, however, should not be hampered by moral considerations, though the wise man will certainly consider carefully all the possible consequences of the course of action he wishes to pursue. सेल्फ गेन इज सर्टेनली डिजायरेबल बट not at the cost of the state. In Bacon's ethics, state comes first and the individual afterwards. Thanks, best of luck.